This Racecraft TV stream is brought to you by Artesian Builds. Artesian builds high-quality custom PCs made to order for a low price. Contact Artesian Builds today to get started on your own custom PC as low as $64 a month. All Artesian builds are made live on stream. You can watch your builds and talk to the builders live at twitch.tv/Artesian Builds. For more information about Artesian Builds, check the link in the description.
Live tonight from the virtual Wild West Motorsports Park in Sparks, Nevada, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to week 2 of the virtual off-road racing series here on Racecraft TV. Happy that you're with us, alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, joined by Austin Knight. And Austin, we're coming off of a thriller of a season opener 2 weeks ago from the big house at Crandon. No big surprises, though, in the opening week of this championship, as it was all about the favorite Cam Peterson. But tonight, he'll have to defend that series points lead on a very different kind of challenge.
Yeah, we started off with a thriller at the start. Cam Peterson got pole, led for most of the race all the way up until the final lap, where Joshua Edmondson jumped down onto the inside in the hairpin to make one of the wildest moves we have ever seen here in the Virtual Off-Road Racing Series Pro 2 Championship for the win. And Josh is still over the moon about that, but Josh is struggling with some equipment issues now. Will that equipment be his downfall this week, or can he keep it up for a two-week advantage over Cameron?
Yeah, that's the sim racing equivalency. Guys thrashing on it in the pits, as he's going to try to hope that all of that equipment holds together. And I mentioned the dominance by Cam Peterson. Obviously, he still gets a lot of points out of that season opener, but it was the win for Edmondson that has him at the very top of the board. And an interesting thing as we come into this race, we talked about how the point structure was weighted last week. Edmondson, 26 points, comes into this as your championship leader, 23 points, so 3 points back is Cam Peterson, 2 points behind him with 21 total is Mason Prater, and then at single digits on back, Tyler Medica fourth, Brandon Proudfoot your top 5, with Fox, Green, Cryer, Ashlock, and Brutal the rest of your top 10. But an interesting thing as we get ready for this race, and you can see all the trucks on track right now in a 10-minute open qualifying session that's about halfway through, Austin, is that the top 3 drivers from last week and in the points, therefore, going to be at the back of the starting grid for the race here this afternoon. Now, it is, of course, as we talked about, just the feature race. There is no heats and LCQs, and it is a decent length tonight at 16 laps in distance for those drivers to make up some time. I'm not concerned about that. If I'm them, I'm worried about the lack of a queue position, meaning I could be in a hairy spot for an incident off of the get-go. You get in a wreck. I think that might be what slows down some of those faster trucks.
Yeah, that back 3 penalty for the top 3 who finished last race is going to be hurting them, and that safety car in the middle of the race at competition caution at the end of lap 7 when lap 8 starts is going to be very key here. Wild West, probably the most race track here on in the Pro 2s, since it was one of the original truck tracks as we're riding with our pole sitter of Cameron Peterson in that fistful of bourbon. New truck for him this week.
Yeah, new sponsorship announced over the course of the week with Jim Beaver Esports. That's an entitlement partnership that's going to be on all of the Jim Beaver Esports entries, not only here in the short course world, but as well in a lot of their other initiatives across the sim that includes in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. He's still got General Tire on board. That's the red number 48 that we've been used to. But again, just because he won't be allowed to start at the top of the board doesn't mean he's not going to want to put it up there just to make a statement. He feels like, I think that last week was a big missed opportunity for him. 11 of the 12 laps were led by Peterson, with Edmondson's only lap led Austin being on that final trip around for the white flag.
Yeah, Joshua Edmondson, his wheel that he usually works with is broken, and he's trying to get accustomed to a new wheel right now. Currently sitting a 10th off of Cameron Peterson, so I say he's has to it pretty well, but we were talking to him before the race, and he's still feeling a little bit off about it. Quote, it feels like a kid's toy, but that 58 rocket machine looking very nicely right now, currently sitting in 2nd place.
Yeah, let's not underestimate, obviously, the challenge that is now looking at Peterson again. I mean, I know that if I just unhook my wheel and rehook it up and some of the small changes, the settings and defaults that get reset could really throw me off, even if it's the same equipment at the end of the day. So to go to a totally different wheel, I think is going to be a challenge. Maybe not as much so in these trucks as maybe in a Grand Prix car, because in these trucks, I think a lot of this is about physicality, being smart, driving hard. And maybe you can get away with a little bit of those differences. You see, the driver who I mentioned was very good in the points. It's Tyler Medica. He enters tonight 4th in the championship standings, currently P6 in the qualifying charts. You can see top left-hand corner of your screen all the active times as we close in on 60 seconds left. So everybody going to have at least one more trip around to get a time in should they so desire. But let's talk a bit about Wild West Motorsports Park, because this is a racetrack with a stunning mountain backdrop, and as well, it's one of the most visually unique tracks in short course, with the track to lay the match. Wild West features 4 turns, 2 of which are proper hairpins. It's a 1.5-mile track, 4 tabletop jumps, and that massive drop-off jump after turn number 1. There's that rhythm section, which is going to be awfully critical before turn number 2. It's all designed to get these trucks up and in the air. There's those 3 different tracks: Wild Horse, Crandon, and of course Wild West, where we are here tonight. Those hairpins, which kind of is akin to design, you can see that track map. In fact, Austin, top right of your screen, you can see how tightly compact this track is. Those hairpins can open up the door for more of the moves like we saw out of Edmondson last week that went for the race win.
Yeah, you got 2 extremely tight hairpins. One is turn 1, the other one's turn 2. I'm expecting most of the moves to be made in turn 2. I call it Rockstar because of the giant Rockstar can in the outside of that turn. I'm expecting that is going to be where the big moves are going to be made. Turn 1 is kind of on a plateau, so you lose a lot of momentum up there, so it's going to be more of a setup spot. The other hairpin, the longest turn, is turn 3, where it's that long left-hander. That's more for just setting up, heading into the rhythm session. And then it's that final hairpin before the drop-off, where that is just another setup section. The really tight ones are turn 1 and 2, where we should be seeing it getting pretty awesome here today, as qualifying is running out right now. We're just waiting for a few more trucks to get going, to get across the line. I believe it is just Brandon Proudfoot. He's coming across the line right now, and qualifying has ended.
Yeah, that'll be the last hot lap time. Those best laps for most of these trucks coming very early in the race. So not a lot of drivers able to pick up at the very end and at the last moment, but certainly it looks like that, Cam Peterson, Josh Edmondson, Brandon Proudfoot going to be 1, 2, 3. Remember, your top 3, though, to the rear. So that would include Mason Prater, but he did not put down a time in the queue, so it doesn't matter anyways. He's at the back regardless. Cam Peterson to the back and Josh Edmondson to the back. So your top 2 in queue going to be sent to the rear. Let's take a look, though, at the starting grid. It is going to have the 48 and the 58 on the front row, but in reality, Brandon Proudfoot's going to have the front row seat. He'll start from third with Joshua Gaiman alongside P4, and then Josh Fox rounds through our top 5.
Yeah, behind him is Tyler Medica, Kenneth Ashlock, Tyson Miller, Jack Bruker, Zachary Jobkid, and Anthony Eigenauer at the end of the grid. Anthony didn't take a lap in the first race. I believe some equipment stuff happened to him, but he is here today, so hopefully we get to see Anthony show us what he can do on track today. And also, it's going to be a, quote, rolling start. Massive air quotes right there. That is just to get the EOLs out of the way, but I believe we're going to get a pretty good show for us right now.
Well, we saw the physicality. I mean, that was a big thing in the first race of the season. Of course, these drivers going to have to pull right to the rear because we're not going to lollygag around at all. This race going to get underway. The pace truck going to dive off out of the way. And again, it is going to be the number 22, also rocking that new sponsor, Fistful of Bourbon, and the Jim Beaver Esports entry, alongside Joshua Gaiman on the front row as we get set for week number 2. And we say, let's go racing from Wild West.
Right on board our Racecraft TV drone camera. Everyone racing into that turn 1. A lot of contact and bumping already as they jump off that hill. And it's Proudfoot, Gaiman, Fox, Medica, and Ashlock, our top 5 as we head into Rockstar.
Side-by-side battle for second. It is out in front of the chaos for the 22 of Proudfoot. A big slide by Gaiman. Now he has sole possession to P2. Here comes Fox on the inside of Menengo. We talked about him last week, the driver of the 23 machine. They're to work on that long-run consistency. Don't forget as well, this is not a 16-lap dash. We will have a comp yellow halfway home, so if you get off on the wrong foot, keep the car clean and be in it late. But none of those drivers who dropped back, Peterson and Edmondson, able to make up much time early. Lap number 1 goes to Brandon Proudfoot.
And Proudfoot leading a nice gap already by a second. He's followed by Joshua Gaiman and Tyler Medica, who's battling Josh Fox, and Medica stiffs the bumper to Fox's nose. And now Josh Fox is battling out with Kenneth Ashlock. They're side by side, and Ashlock got past him down to the inside, but now Josh Fox holding down that inside line. Fox a little bit unstable on corner entry and losing a lot of momentum right there through Rockstar.
A lot of people complain about some tracks that don't have passing zones, and I think Wild West is only a passing zone. Every single bit of it. The 24 of Jack Bruker gets by on the inside. That spot hits. Move up to P5. And Fox, after the lap ago, at this same point being scored third, is down to 6. It might be lower. Here comes Miller to the inside. He'll get on his door in the final hairpin, turn 4.
Ooh.
Fox up against the barrier, slows him down a tad. And I think Miller's going to get the job done. He'll have the inside back off to 1, now working lap 3.
Yep, 90 and the 12 still going side by side with each other. And that's Tyson Miller and Josh Fox. Josh Fox, that last lap was absolutely dreadful. You did not want to stay in there. There's Zachary Drapkins swinging around the outside. That red light car all the way over to the red banners of the Lucas Oil sign, as ahead of him, Tyson Miller and Jack Bruker battling out with each other.
And some 3 wide, beating and banging further down the line. I think that was Fox in a sandwich in between Zachary Drapkin on the right-hand side, and here comes Edmondson as well, trying to enter the picture. He'll make the slide on the inside. Edmondson gets a 2-for-1 on the rail. Is Zachary Drapkin. We saw Fox do it last lap. Drapkin does it this time. That'll cost him those 2 spots. And Edmondson off to a better recovery thus far than Cam Peterson. Edmondson to 7th. Peterson still down P10 as Brandon Proudfoot continues to lead.
Yeah, Brady Proudfoot way up there in the lead. He's so far up there where you can't even get a camera near him. Right now, the battle for 3rd between Tyler Medica and Kenneth Ashlock getting pretty tight with each other.
I was talking with the boss man for your race leader, Brandon Proudfoot, Jim Beaver, earlier today, talking about the new sponsorship with them, and super excited to have the Fistful of Bourbon guys on board. And it is, and Proudfoot oftentimes can get overshadowed by the likes of Peterson, who's often regarded as one of the best short course drivers on the iRacing service. But Proudfoot, no slouch either. He's been running good laps up front. He's now opened his advantage over to about a second over Joshua Gaiman, who isn't dropping way behind, but is starting to see that gap open up. There you go. You see 1-2 right now. And if I'm Gaiman, like I said, I'm fine with that, comp yellow a little bit later. Fight for 3rd's really where it's at, and that's where Tyler Medica has got a hungry field coming up on him as he tries to maintain 3rd. Those top 2 have checked way out.
Yeah, those top 2 is going to be a fight, especially at the end of this stage. Air quotes, massive air quotes right there. They don't call them stages here in short course, but kind of feels like a stage with that competition caution.
Yeah, it does. And, I think that plays into the strategy. Obviously, without that, Cam Peterson wins the season opener. Not that Josh Edmondson got the pass right away, as there's the slide to the inside. Ashlock and Meninga work for this one. But that closing of the guys back in allowed some drivers to get in on the bumper, and Peterson's big gap that he was able to get in the first 6 laps was not able to replicate second half. There's a push down. Ashlock faster than Meninga, and I think is tired of getting held up here, so they're getting physical. Couple of swaps, this time the inside, better for the 23.
Oh, mid-corner, Medica gave Ashlock a little bit of shove wide, pushed him into the dirty dirt right there. And Medica is holding that inside line tighter and tighter each corner as we ride on board our Racecraft TV drone cam. Tyler Medica defending this 3rd spot with his life.
And right now, it's only Ashlock on him. But again, after that comp yellow, you're going to have Brooker there. You're going to have Miller. You're going to have Edmondson. Everybody. Cam Peterson now joining kind of a 5-truck soiree from 3rd position on back. They're 5 seconds off of the race lead, and it's because they keep beating and banging on each other. Banging behind that was Brooker and Miller, I think. Who had that side-to-side contact. The 24 stays in front.
Yeah, 90 of Miller, Tyson Miller. He tried to set it way in there that corner. Just body slammed the 24 Exalted machine of Brooker in front of him. And as a giant 24 fan, that paint scheme I'm slightly biased to.
Yeah, no doubt you know what number that truck is without even, seeing it on the back there. He lets us know. And, trying to represent well as the caution flag is now out. It is going to be a manual yellow. That's only a term that if you're a sim racer, you'll recognize, so the lights aren't going to go yellow or anything, but these drivers will pace themselves. Cool thing about that is also it means that we're able to go green next time by, and we don't actually lose 3 laps out of the race.
Yeah, we aren't going to lose a lot of time just so these guys take their breath, rejoin the field. It's Proudfoot still in the lead as we ride on board with him. He's going to be shaking himself off right there, tearing off that visor strip. I don't really think he has a lot of dirt up there. I think he's just doing it just to be safe. Joshua Gaiman sits in 2nd place, and in 3rd is Tyler Medica, followed by Kenneth Ashlock, Jack Brooker, Tyson Miller, and Josh Edmondson. He's made his way up into 7th with Cameron Peterson and Zachary Drapkin making up moves right behind it. Josh Fox at the end of the grid after that very struggless first part of the race. Well, it's up to Brandon Proudfoot once more as we ride on the back of his truck. And looking back at the rest of the field, it's time to once again go racing, but they're going to go when Proudfoot goes. It's a slow crawl. He punches the gas, and we're going back racing for the virtual off-road racing series here on Racecraft TV.
And he timed that one well. He went onto the gas coming over the ridge so we could use that downhill slope to build some speed, try to get a gap for second. Here comes Medica, though. He will shove his way past Joshua Gaiman. So Tyler Medica to a race high P2, but watch behind. Ken Edmondson. Ken Peterson make a move. There's three wide contact behind. It's Miller into the Jersey barrier.
Miller's hooked on that. Miller's hooked. He can't get off of it. Disastrous for Tyson Miller.
Took a while, though, but he got hung up on that K-rail. That was three wide contact. He'll be okay, but he drops all the way to the rear of the field. Now the battle for second on again. Gaiman wants it back. Sliding on the inside is Kenneth Ashlock, who was that driver challenging early. Now it looks like it may be Ashlock and Gaiman for 3-4 because Medica's pulled about 6 truck lengths.
Medica's pulled about 6 trunk lengths, and I think Tyler Medica is just going to be checked out as Ashlock and Gaiman have entered a boxing match with each other. And just look at Gaiman. He is just so crazy off the throttle, off that hill. He was nearly sideways in the air.
Laying it all out just to show you at the front of the field. Does that mean these guys are going to take it easy? They want more. And again, third on the back seems to be where all the craziness is happening. Edmondson in a race high P5. Peterson to a race high P6. You're looking off of the back of Joshua Gaiman there and Tyler Medica and company. I would be shocked if Edmondson doesn't close on a battle for third. We'll see. Keep in mind, they're running out of time. That time by, only 6 to go.
Gaiman landed so roughly, his car's shot sideways, and Edmondson plows into Ashlock, and Ashlock's upside down.
Oh, that's it. He's done. Ashlock had done that same move time after time, and I think he did it to himself. You can see he's hung up on the K-rail again. It was actually Ashlock who put the bumper slid into Joshua Gaiman, and he only took himself out. There was nowhere for Edmondson to go, and Ashlock, trying to avoid having to stop and park it right here, stays in the throttle, trying to hope that maybe he could hop it a little bit, and instead he went all 4 tires over.
Yeah, he did a full-on barrel roll, too, and that is extremely unfortunate for Kenneth Ashlock, who's going to be ending his race in the pit lane. Tyler Medica sits in second place with Gaiman very loosely right behind him, and they got to watch out because Joshua Edmondson is closing up with Peterson right behind him. I would say this is the rivalry that we all are going to be seeing throughout this season. Now that they have that little bit of a traffic jam cleared of him, how soon will it be before they catch him? They only have about 5 more laps remaining here on track to catch up for the battle for second place.
And listen, I don't think anybody's shocked when we kind of allude to Edmondson and to Peterson as maybe the 2 title favorites in this series. But I think this race goes to show, as you can see all that contact towards the rear there, I think it goes to show you how fast everybody is in this. Because if Edmondson and Peterson were a mile ahead of every single other truck, well, then this really wouldn't matter because they would have driven through the field. Instead, that hasn't happened. Gaiman to the inside of Medica, but all these drivers really impressing to me on keeping Edmondson and Peterson behind them. And Peterson actually still behind the 58 in the battle for 4th and 5th. He could drop to as many as 4 points behind for that championship lead if that doesn't change. It seems like this race, Proudfoot's to lose. P2, though, still very much undecided.
Yeah, Medica and Gaiman, they haven't fought each other a lot. If they continue this, route, they might be able to catch Proudfoot.
We'll see, and the key, as you mentioned, is they need to leave each other alone. Of course, these drivers were fighting. Actually, it was Medica and further down the line, Ashlock fighting for 3rd and 4th, and they were pretty even. And last time by, best lap on track went to Cam Peterson, now 2 times consecutively. So he is the best. But I think that Medica is pretty equal with Proudfoot. I just think Proudfoot needs a mistake at this point, especially this late in the game. Next time by, going to be Popsicle 6 in the air and only 2 laps to go. And I don't think Proudfoot's one of those drivers that's akin to an error. We'll find out, but it is all him up front. And he's at the point where he can just kind of coast around for just a little bit. All he has to do is stay off of the inside. Don't get hung up on that K-rail. Don't get out into a rut and flip yourself over. And if he can just stay in that racing groove, the 22 looking real good to close this thing out. He finished 5th 2 weeks ago in the season opener at Crandon, and he's 2 laps away from a checkered.
Yeah. And if he takes the win here, he will go into second place in the championship as Medica holding that outside like Gavin trying to sneak his way down low, getting onto that K-rail once more. Very dangerous move, but that's kind of Gavin's style as he sits back as they enter Rockstar. Medica and Gavin still side by side. This is a great opportunity for Gaiman. He's doing for the switchback move, holding that inside line, and they're going to exit side by side, and there is Edmondson and Peterson right behind him.
And I understand the battle for second's important, don't get me wrong, as there's more contact now. Meninga stays in front, but I think the one thing neither of these drivers can afford to do is slow each other up so much that Edmondson and Peterson catch them. You would just be throwing away points. We talked about that Supercross style point standings where 1, 2, 3 are weighted more heavily than everybody else. You gotta stay up here, and Gaiman makes the slide.
Yeah, and they have caught them. They're within a second of Gaiman, and Gaiman has held that position, and then Medica gave it back, slammed it down to the inside, and pushed Gaiman out of the way. Medica jumps back into second place, and there is Peterson right there. White flag in the air. One more corner to left here at Wild West Motorsports Park.
Battle for second, on back and to continue, but up at the front of the field, it is Brandon Proudfoot. He's been perfect all race long, and Proudfoot gonna get his first win in the virtual off-road racing series. He dominates for victory at Wild West. Meninga hangs on for number 2. Gaiman finishes 3rd, Edmondson 4th, and Peterson in 5th.
Absolutely wild race to the end, but all eyes are on our race winner, Brandon Proudfoot, who, well, with that top 3 being reversed, he's going to be with them next week now, as he is now sitting in second place of the championship after getting a 5th in round 1 and a 1st here. Edmondson still retains the championship lead after taking the win and taking 4th place. Cameron Peterson is in 3rd after taking a 2nd place and a 5th place. But Brandon Proudfoot, all eyes are on him, and I think he's going to give us a little bit of a NASCAR show right now. Is he going to try to burn it down? It's going to park it up.
I think he's slung enough dirt in the race. He's happy with it. He's going to park it there at the start-finish straight. And, you know, what a race to finish 3.4 seconds ahead. We had thought, based on what we saw at Crandon in the season opener, that it was that comp yellow midway that was going to bring some drivers into it. I don't think that Peterson and Edmondson had made up enough room in those opening 6 laps to really contend. That's why they were stuck 4-5. But Tyler Meninga proves to be the one who took advantage. I thought that if without that yellow, I think that Ashlock gets 3rd. I think that move eventually happens, and I think Tyler Meninga's looking at a 2nd straight week of a P4 finish. Instead, he'll steal away a P2 tonight and get 23 very valuable points. He could be a threat for a podium spot in the championship when this season's done.
Yeah. Watch out for Brandon Proudfoot, though. He takes the win ahead of Tyler Meninga. Joshua Gaiman in 3rd with Joshua Edmondson. Championship leader sits in 4th place, just barely. And Cameron Peterson, 3rd place driver, sits in 5th, followed by Zachary Chapkin, Josh Fox, Jack Bruker, Tyson Miller, Kenneth Ashlock, and Anthony Eigenauer, who, once again, didn't take a lap, but he was in the session today, so you really gotta see why he's not entering these races. But I do believe we are joined by a few of the drivers right now, just waiting for our race winner.
Yeah, we'll talk to these guys and kind of get their thoughts on, you know, how this one shakes out. Of course, Proudfoot going to victory lane here. So 2 different race winners in the opening 2 weeks of this championship. Tyler Meninga coming home in 3rd. And then Joshua Gaiman rounding out to 3, your top 3. Of course, full results there on your screen. And as well, just waiting, as you mentioned, you talk about the shuffling up of the championship standings, just waiting for that to be made official. As far as what the shuffling has been, but these drivers still have quite a few weeks of racing to go. So I don't think any concerns immediately about who's going to be in, who's going to be out. But certainly I think we've whittled it down to a look at about 5 or 6 drivers that have a real good shot at this. Is take a second look at how this all got started for Proudfoot.
Yeah, speaking of Proudfoot, we are standing by with Braden Proudfoot right now. Evan, you're with the race winner.
You're on the radio with the driver of the number 22 machine, race winner this afternoon for the virtual Wild West Motorsports Park. And Brandon, congratulations on the win. I know it was quote-unquote only a P3 in the Q session, but because of the invert for the top 3 in points, you put you up front and you never really looked back. Just talk us through this one.
Yeah, the only getting P3 in the Q, it's interesting with how the top 3 drivers are supposed to get that EOL at the beginning, and that really changes up competition level, because then the guy who didn't get that drop back just has to stay up there and pray that there's enough time for those guys that are real fast in the back to come up. Isn't enough time, but this track here, it's long, and sometimes it's really hard to pass here, especially whenever the track is broken down in a certain way.
Do you feel like that may have helped you tonight? Obviously, starting with the track position, when you compare that to what was still a good result, a P5 at Crandon, but that was a race in which you had started in 3rd, but was able, obviously dropped back to the P5. Do you feel like the track kind of played into that gave that P1 a bit more oomph maybe this week than it did last week? Or is this a track that maybe you feel just fits your driving style better?
I think it definitely plays a factor. Turn 1 and 2, especially off the initial starts. It's after the leader. It's really strong accordion effect. You guys, I believe, seen it in the Triple Crown race. We had a few incidents with it, and I'm not sure how it was with this race. But the leader traditionally can get turn 1 and 2 on the first lap relatively clean, where the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rows, they're all worried about the guys behind them causing that accordion effect. That gives about 2 seconds right off the bat. So yeah, I definitely think advantage.
We talked about seeing you in the World Cup as well, and it was a bit of a different looking number 22 truck on the track tonight. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, sir. Jim Beaver Esports, we got a new sponsor, Fistful of Bourbon. By the way, winners get whiskey, baby. They decided to do a full team sponsorship, and that's going to be the primary for Jim Beaver Esports for the foreseeable future for any Jim Beaver Esports video.
Well, happy to see that, and happy to see that you got that truck out front tonight, Brandon. We appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win, and hopefully for your sake, there's a few more of these in the back pocket for the 22, and we'll talk soon.
Yep, thank you.
It's your race winner tonight from Wild West Motorsports Park, and I'll pass things back off to you, Austin, to chat with the driver who comes home in 2nd position tonight. That's the driver of the number 23 machine. If we have him, though, maybe going to go straight to 3rd.
Yeah, we do have somebody in here right now. I believe it might be Zachary Drapkin. I'm not sure, though. But I do believe we are standing by with one of the drivers. So you're on Racecraft TV. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Josh Gaiman, by the way.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was close. I was watching your battle.
Pretty good. Yeah, it was a really fun race.
Yeah, it really looked extremely fun as you and Tyler Medica were side by side throughout the entire second half and pretty much the entire first half. But you came home in 3rd. How was that race?
First half was really good. It was smooth. Just wanted to kind of keep my truck clean. And then through the second half there, I caught the wall going into 1 on the restart, and it actually bent my steering. I was probably like 30 degrees to the right. Didn't really think anything of it. But yeah, I kind of had to muscle it a little bit to get back up to Tyler.
Yeah, battling with Tyler, and as well as you had another driver in there with Kenneth Ashlock. How was it battling with you in between y'all?
Me and Tyler, it seems every official race we get into together, we're banging doors and throwing sliders and stuff. So definitely always fun to race with him. Me and Kenneth have raced a bunch together too. It seemed like he really wanted to get by there a couple of times. But you know, I wasn't really having any of it, so held my ground as good as I could.
You took a lot of door dings today. Anything you want to say about that?
You know, I mean, it's short course racing, so, you know, it's expected. You know, a couple doors here and there, as long as nobody's getting flipped over, it's, you know, no harm, no foul.
All right, well, Josh, you came home in 3rd place on the podium today. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
I mean, I gotta thank, you know, the guys that put the show together, you know, Josh for running the league and you guys for running the broadcast. Don't really have any sponsors myself right now. Just running a little Jimmy Johnson tribute truck. But yeah, just a little solo effort.
All right, well, Joshua, there's certainly eyes on you as you came home in 3rd place today. Hopefully hopefully you can repeat that in 2 weeks' time as we head over to Arizona next week. Evan, any closing thoughts?
Well, I think that this championship has gotten a lot more three-dimensional. I mean, we set it off at the top. Edmondson, Peterson, those are going to be the big names. But tonight showed you that even though those guys may be at the very top of the mountain, you put them back in some traffic, they can't just drive through the field. Even with, you know, this race was a little bit quicker as far as lap time-wise, total distance-wise, compared to what we saw at the big house at Crandon. But you get mixed up in some traffic and you get some track position, you get some timely passes. Anybody could find victory lane in this series. And Josh Edmondson, I talked about, he beat out Cam Peterson by 1 spot tonight. So the difference between those two into points goes from 3 to 4. But it's the big points by Proudfoot. He is now 2nd in the championship, only 1 point behind Josh Edmondson. And Tyler Menninga, big points for that steal in a P2, 42 points, 3 off at the top spot. I think that this series is in for a very entertaining title fight. If you had told me Cam Peterson wasn't even going to be top 5 in the points, or top 3, sorry, in the points coming out of round number 2, I would have called you crazy. So looking forward to catching everybody in 2 weeks when we go to Wild Horse.
Yeah, 2 weeks' time when we close it out. Thank you, everybody, for watching Racecraft TV. I'm Austin I. I've been joined by Evan Pasoko, and this is the Virtual Off-Road Racing Series. We'll see you next time. This Racecraft TV stream is brought to you by Artesian Builds. Artesian builds high-quality custom PCs made to order for a low price. Contact Artesian Builds today to get started on your own custom PC as low as $64 a month. All Artesian builds are made live on stream. You can watch your builds and talk to the builders live at twitch.tv/Artesian Builds. For more information about Artesian Builds, check the link in the description.